All right, guys, so we're sitting here with a giant envelope of cash, and we're at a real estate office. So I wonder what could be happening. Stay tuned, find out. Alright guys, there we go. Let's take a ride. Here we go, guys. New home of More Fab Industries. And this may look familiar to some of you guys, because it is actually the same complex that Jimmy Oakes is now moving out of. Figures, right? I think I forced him to move out, but anywho, congrats to Jimmy. Big congrats to Jimmy. That new shop of his is going to be amazing. Now, we'll explain a little bit more when we get inside about why we decided to go with this area. And yeah, so let's get inside. There it is, the new shop. You can tell it looks slightly bigger than our other one. And it is quite a bit bigger than our other one. Our other one is 1,000 square feet. Excuse the helicopter. This one is 1,500 square feet, which will give us a lot more room for activities. Now, the biggest problem that we had in our other shop was space and not being able to leave anything outside. And now currently we can fit 3 vehicles in front of the unit, which means that we can now do more work, which is amazing. That is what we were looking for. So let me find a place to set this camera up real quick and we'll go over it. All right, I got you guys set up on the hood of the X5 right now. We pulled it in the shop. So basically, let's give you a little bit of history here and why we're actually getting a new shop. So first and foremost, we started More Fab Industries in a very small shop in Meriden, which is the next town over. And then we wanted to expand it. So unfortunately, we ran into a situation where there was no other availability other than a 6,000 square foot unit right across the street from where we're at right now. Now, we got into that 6,000 square foot unit. We were renting out some of the space, and that turned into a nightmare. And then, you know, we had dealings with that, and it just got crazy. So after about 4 years of being in that 6,000 square foot space, I was working my ass off to the point where I was getting sick. I was getting, you know, I wasn't sleeping. It was just insane. It was too much to keep up with for one person. So what I ended up doing was, the lease was ending. We decided to move out. We decided we were going to get 2 units over where we're at currently. Now, those 2 units were supposed to be side by side, which would have given us 2,000 square feet of side by side space, but still 2 separate units. So after being there for a couple of years, we realized that even if we got 2 separate units, it's still not going to work for what we need to do. We need one congruous space, and we don't need 2,000 feet of space. We only needed about 1,500 feet of space. But anybody that knows this area knows that the 1,000, 1,200, and 1,500 square foot spots go like that. So you have to be on top of it. And the only next best thing is, you know, 4,500 square feet, 5,000 square feet. And I didn't want to get into that again. So what we're looking at now is basically 1,500 square feet. We're 24 feet wide, 60 feet deep. And we've got plenty of room to do what we need to do. So we can move our lift back 20 feet. We can install a secondary lift at some point. We have all the room in the world we need for everything. We can stick our loft back up in the corner over there where it was before. You know, we'll have our staircase. We'll have everything that we had previously. It'll just be, you know, a slight bit bigger. So I'm excited, guys, because over the next few weeks, we're going to get into here. We're going to get everything set up. Fortunately, we have the space we're in now until the end of July, so we can take some time and move into here slowly, get things set up, and get everything moving the way that we need it to be moving. And it'll allow us to get rid of some garbage and, you know, really set this place up like it needs to be set up. So that is what we're doing, guys, and welcome to the new More Fab Industries. And yeah, we're in the same complex with Jimmy and Derek and Drew and all those guys, so it's going to be a good time. You're going to see a lot more stuff going down, and we're going to have fun with it. So stay tuned. All right, guys, so weather report. A little less humid today. A little less hazy, a little less humid. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna try to weld up the rest of this exhaust. So as you saw, we have a joint here we need to weld. We have all these pies right here we gotta weld. We gotta weld the muffler on, and we're gonna do a tip on the muffler. Then we're gonna come in here, and I gotta order some more material, but we have a hanger going in right here. And then we're going to have a strap style hanger on the muffler itself to hang that into place. Now the beauty of titanium is that the stuff is so light you really don't need 1.5 million exhaust hangers. So we can luckily pretty much get rid of this exhaust hanger in the middle. We're not going to need it. There was originally, I think, a hanger up in this area here, but we don't need that either. So all we literally need is this one hanger here and a hanger back by the muffler, and we will be totally good to go. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring this over to the table, and we are going to start welding it. What's going on, guys? So apparently the voiceover in the last video was a huge success, which is awesome. So I figured we'd do it again. And this time around, I got a suggestion in the comments of what I'm doing exactly. So we're going to go over that. So basically what we've got is my Everlast 255 EXT, PowerTig 255 EXT. We are running that at 35 amps. We've got 1 second of pre-flow on the argon. We've got about 12 seconds of post-flow on the argon. We are running full pedal for the most part, no pulse, nothing weird, just straight DC, DCEN, electrode negative, which is pretty much what you'd be tigging anything on. You, for some reason, would put that thing positive. Who knows? Why anybody would put the torch positive? I don't know. Torch always goes in the negative. As you can see, we're using the number 16 or the BBW or the 1-inch Pyrex Spheric Cup. We are using a gas lens set up for a number 20 water-cooled torch. We've got a 332 tungsten that is 2% lanthanated, which is something I like very much. Now, a bunch of guys have been trying to get me to try the pink multi-mix from Weld Porn, and if any of you guys have that, and you'd be willing to send me a stick of it to try out, that would be great, because I don't want to invest in it just yet until I've tried it. But yeah, so that's pretty much what we're doing for settings there. You know, it's pretty basic. 35 amps, full. Humidity versus something I welded in 47% humidity. It's a massive difference. That, and it's just, you know what, when you're welding, especially TIG welding titanium or stainless or anything where you're trying to get a really nice looking weld, being uncomfortable is probably the main enemy of not being able to weld well. So my unfortunate part that I have going on in my shop right now is that I am constantly in strange positions welding. So like this position right here, you know, you could see that my right hand is sitting up on the tubing. It wants to constantly slide down the tubing. My left hand is propped on my bench and not on the part itself, so I'm kind of far away with the filler wire. And it just makes for a very uncomfortable situation. And when you're uncomfortable, it's very, very difficult to get a really nice weld. And if you look at, you know, some of the beads very closely that I'm laying down, you can tell when I'm comfortable because the bead is nice and straight, it's uniform, it's even. When I get into an uncomfortable position is when the bead starts wandering, the puddle starts wandering, my consistency is off, and a few other odds and ends. So, you know what? That's something that I really need to practice with, is being able to weld better and more precise when I'm uncomfortable. But the number one key, in my opinion, to TIG welding well is to be comfortable. Be able to prop both of your hands, because I don't care who you are, you're going to shake, you're going to move, just breathing, you move around and everything else. So you actually have to be, pretty steady, and that usually means propping both hands. So we're getting ready to rotate this piece out so we can do the next inch or so. And you'll start to see that the beads look much, much better than the colorful stuff that we did the other day. You can see we got a nice little light straw color going on there, which in most instances is 100% acceptable. You want to stay away from any of the blues or purples or anything like that. A mild straw color usually means that your heat affected zone was not outside of your argon coverage. Now, mind you that we still do have some humidity, and we're still battling that a little bit, and we're mildly uncomfortable, so that's causing an effect. And the fact that it's 90 degrees doesn't help either. I got a water cooler sitting right next to me. I have my welder sitting right next to me. I've got a hot arc right below my chin. And so it just, overall, it's not fun. But the filler rod that we're using is obviously CP1 titanium. It is 1 millimeter in diameter. We're welding 1 millimeter pipe, so 1 millimeter filler seems to work beautifully. We're trying to get the beads laid down as flat as we can while getting enough filler metal in there to make sure that we have a nice strong weld, because this is an exhaust system that is on an all-wheel drive car that's going to be bouncing around quite a bit. Now, I see a lot of people, when it comes to titanium, curious as to why exhaust systems from like Tomei and some of the other brands, and in 1 millimeter of wall thickness, if we don't maintain that thickness in our welds, we're going to cause all sorts of very thin spots within the material, which in turn will cause cracking. So I use filler wire on every weld that I do, whether it be stainless or titanium or anything else like that. It tends to hold up pretty well. I've not had an issue yet with one of my exhaust systems cracking or breaking or fatiguing or anything like that. So that is why we do that. Now, you can see that the arc gets a little funky sometimes, and what that is from actually is when it gets bright orange like that, there's argon that's escaping through these cracks, because I am back purging this piece. Now, the back purge argon will escape under a little bit of pressure past the cracks and past the seams and everything else. So you see there, it's a nice bright blue arc. And then as we hit a spot that's got a little bit more open of a gap, you'll see the arc kind of go a little orangey. And that's just an effect of the argon that's coming out through there. And it is purging a little bit of oxygen with it as well, so you get a little funkiness. But for the most part, these welds are coming out really, really well. And I'm actually super happy that it wasn't humid. Although, when we got towards the end and we did the exhaust tip, you guys will probably see that in the end of the video. By the time we got to welding the tip on the muffler, we were having a lot of issue again. And partially, again, because of me being uncomfortable and, whatever else may do it. I just need more practice in uncomfortable situations. But we also ran into problems, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get a, nice weld like we're doing right here. So I went on my phone and I checked the weather, and the humidity had gone from 47% to 78%. So we had jumped up. I knew it was getting a little or a lot more humid because of just sweating for no reason. And then by the time we got done doing the exhaust tip, the humidity was back up to 87%. So just, I wish that, of course, every time I need to weld, it seems like that's the case. But, all right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this. That's all the settings of the machine. That's all of everything that is going on in this particular scene. What I'm going to do is I'm going to time-lapse the rest of this for you. We'll get through welding this, and then we'll get it back on the car. So, enjoy. cuts are done finally. So now what I want to do is I want to show you guys the effects of humidity. So when we welded this joint, it was 89% humidity, 90 degrees. And you can see argon doesn't look like it was doing such a great job. There's a lot of coloring in there. There's a lot of straw color in the weld itself. And then there's some bluing outside of the welds, which obviously means that I didn't get the argon coverage proper. Or the argon was contaminated with something. So I think a combination of me being uncomfortable and not in the right position, and also the heavy breeze plus the high humidity leads to that. Now, whether or not this is a passing weld when it comes to the aerospace industry is totally beyond me, but let me show you a weld at today's 47% humidity. So there you go, guys. That is a huge difference. We got your normal little straw coloring, and yeah, no blues, no purples, no pinks, no none of that. So way better. That's the effect that the humidity has. So now we're at 90 degrees, but we're at 47% humidity. So we're good. But yeah, that's the effect humidity can have on it, guys. So there's the overall part. There's the muffler. Kind of wrapped it up so we didn't destroy it. But yeah, now we're going to throw that back on the car. And I think we're just about done with the welding with the exception of the exhaust tip. So right at the end of the very last weld, here's what happened. No bueno. Now we gotta fix that. Alright guys, so there we go. Tip is on, welded, good to go. Looks halfway decent, a little bit of color in it. This weld came out perfect because we were at 47% humidity. This weld we were at 82% humidity, so you can tell the difference, but everything is good. We got our little hooks welded on here for our springs. We got to weld them over here on this side. Same thing over here. We got our little hook over here. There's the rest of the exhaust, guys. So only thing we have left now is hangers. So we got to put, like I said earlier, we're going to put a hanger here, and we're going to wrap a hanger around the muffler and then tie it up to this factory hanger point right here, and then we will be good to go. That beautiful Tycon Industries muffler. Such a nice piece. So we're all set. That's it. Exhaust is done. Finally the exhaust is done. This weather has been killing us, but we got it all set. So now, obviously you guys know by now that the engine's blown in this thing. So we're waiting on some interesting stuff to come in, and then we're going to be ripping the engine out and doing all that. So thank you for watching all the exhaust stuff. We are done with that. We're going to be moving on to the engine side of things next. So stay tuned for those, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great night.